Yeah, it's not my intention. It's not my intention to criticize any of these people. They only come up because what I am critiquing is the cultish atmosphere that arises when people think that some person has the power to transmit this Shakti energy or whatever. That's nonsense. Shakti pot and all that. That's nonsense. It's hypnotism. And yes, I have that power if you want it. If you come to me wanting that enough, I can do it. And this is my point. It will be your wanting, it will be the projection of your energy onto me that enables this transaction to take place. That's all it is. No human being has this power. They don't have this internal magnetism and they can just throw it at you and you go, oh! This is stage magic. This is hypnotism. This is what these preachers do in these churches in the South. They come up, I'll heal you. And they go like this and someone has to catch the guy. Come on. If you want that to happen to you badly enough, you'll faint and be caught. That preacher doesn't have the power of Jesus in him. This is so absurd. It's hard for me to believe that it's so popular. This is crazy. This is what I call magical thinking. And what I'm saying is, don't be hypnotized. Whatever you do, whatever you believe or disbelieve, that's fine. We all believe things. Don't let another person get into your space. Don't. That's what my book is about. Find your own mind. Not someone else's mind. Not Robert's mind. Not Francis Lucille's mind. He has his mind, but he does not know anything that you don't know. He doesn't. He knows what he knows, which is, he has one point of view, the human point of view. Before we go further, this one came up also, I think it was on the internet. I think it came from Paul Cannell. Distinguish between subjectivity and objectivity. I'll be glad to. Subjectivity is what we all have, and objectivity is an unattainable goal, but we can become a little more objective by noticing our own subjectivity. But there is no human being, I don't care if it's Francis Lucille or the man in the moon, who has an objective point of view on reality. That's just silly. That's a foolish idea on the face of it. And if someone here can't see that, I can't show it to you. It's not, I have not enough leverage. You have your own mind. And that mind has things in it that Francis Lucille knows nothing about. And he has no way of knowing them. And you could sit here and talk to him for day after day, and he would still not know that about you. Because there are things about us that are inexpressible. We only vaguely understand them, but our vague understanding of them is enough to enliven and enlighten our own experience. That's what our experience is. We're lighting up the way for ourselves by these like falling in love. Somebody asked me, Robert, how do you know if you're in love? What am I going to say? What am I going to say? And that's why these gurus are trying to tell you what it's like to be in love, and they can't. Most of them aren't. And the ones who are, I know they mean well, but they'd be better off to just tell you, just wait. When it happens, you'll get it. So I've been going on for quite a while here. Would you like to speak for a while and then we'll take a break?
Yeah, you mentioned the radio show. Tripp and I talked to about 100 of these people in conversations. Francis Lucille, that crowd from Bentenio and Ganesh and all these different people. The only one or two were honest. It didn't have an agenda, so or a business that, where a person like a Francis Lucille, whether you know it or not, is a brand. It's a brand, and a word in your mind that he owns that word. And then any wisdom boogers or anything that happen to get attached to that, he kind of gets the credit for that, even though he may just repeat somebody else or whatever, even though he may say something that strikes a chord of your own understanding deeply, and you say, aha, and for your own validation, you like point at Francis Lucille. In that branding, he has branded your own insight, taken it and branded it and made it a meal ticket. And when you make it your meal ticket, you're compromised. It's just the survival mechanism. It's what capitalism is all about. So Francis Lucille is a brand. Ramana Maharshi is a brand. Jesus is a brand. Republican is a brand. Trump is a brand. So brands are there to own a position in your mind until there's a disruption. You hear that something is introduced in the world of brands, a disruptive force. That they call that it's a disruption. Robert Saltzman's brand is disruption. Imagine the Wizard of Oz without Toto. Just feel into that a minute. It doesn't make any sense. It's just searching and going on and then get to the wizard and everything, and then all this power and all maybe, but that final act, Toto is the disruption, and Toto pulls the curtain back. And if you follow what's been happening over the last 40, 50 years in this neo-Advaita of this thing, a lot of it began with Ram Dass, Richard Alpert, people were doing acid. Oh, we can be permanently high. Timothy Leary said, no, just keep dropping. Musicians were doing it. Folk, with Fleetwood Mac, we had the Moody Blues, we had Jerry Garcia. They were the problem. And then George Harrison got a guru over there. And Richard Alpert kind of leading all these guys, met this guy, Bhagavan Das, over in India. Bhagavan Das said, kept telling him to be here now. And so Bhagavan Das smoked his pot and took his acid and everything. They partied in India and everything. Then Bhagavan Das took him to see the guru. And he jumped in head first. And he's been there ever since. And there's a story I shared this earlier at the house. There's Ram Dass. He was in town one time. There used to be, you might know, you ever hear of this guy called Shlomo Carlebach, the singing rabbi, years ago? Yes. Okay. Shlomo was coming to town one time. He wanted me to take him around and show him around. So I said, sure. So we were in the car. I said, you want to meet Ram Dass? He's standing in a friend of mine's house, Bo Lozoff over here. He said, yeah, that'd be cool. So we went off to see, visit Bo and Ram Dass. And he's fresh back from India. This is in the early days. And we go in, and Ram Dass starts telling this story about Zombak Suit. It's a great little parable. I don't know if you've heard of it. And it's the story about this guy goes to see the tailor, and he walks out, and he's walking down the street, and the first guy he says, "Oh, I see you, Zombach is your tailor." And the guy, let me just, the guy, excuse me.
Yeah, hold it in your hand for now.
Oh, I gotta move around. So the guy's walking down the street, and he's just got his new suit. He's all proud of it and everything. And he's walking down the street, and he's kind of doing like this. And the first one said, "Oh, I see Zombach is your tailor." He said, "How did you know that?" I said, "We know Zombach the tailor." "Well, that's amazing. How can you say?" "Well, Zombach, when you go in there and you put on the suit, and if it looks like it doesn't fit, you're going to say, you know, if you just bent over a little bit, that wrinkle will fall out." And then he said, and that pant leg, it don't look right. See, if you just kind of turn your foot like that, and it'll get that out. And then if you kind of get over there like that, it'll take that little fold out of the back and everything. And then he's walking around in his Zombach suit. And everybody who goes to see Zombach and Taylor walks out fucked up, crippled. And this was funny. This was really funny. So we all laughed and got the story. And so we had a lunch in there, and we talked and stuff. So then I see Shlomo and Ramdas in the corner, and they're kind of doing a little and I was wondering what that was about. So we were leaving, and I said, "Shlomo, what was going on? I'm curious of what was going on in the corner." He says, "I told him he was a Jew acting like a Hindu and then telling that story." And we cackled and laughed about it because it was so true. And he's still telling that story, and he's got Hindu shit all over him and walking around and playing like a Hindu. There's something fishy about that. There's something fishy. And the reincarnations and the this and the that's and all of that stuff. And I know people dear to me, who are close to him, and they're totally bought into that. One of the ladies, Bo Lozoff, killed himself on a motorcycle accident years later in Hawaii. And his wife, Sita, she still runs the Human Kindness Foundation. It's a prison ashram project. And a year ago, she came over with another lady, Catherine, and they're all dressed up, and everything looked like Mormons at the door and everything. "These are my friends." I said, "Carol, it looks like the church ladies are here." So we let them in and everything, so we're there talking, and we're having it pretty good, and with one of it, it's really bright. I mean, it really is clear this is it. Yeah. But then Sita starts talking about the bad karma of the prisoners that they're working with. I said, "Come on, Sita, there's no karma. You don't believe in karma?" I said, "Of course not." And it was a real heavy thing. She'd been in for 40 years. She'd been into this cult, this Neem Karoli Baba cult, and it's built around karma and reincarnation and all this Hindu stuff of Zombach, the guys wearing Zombach suit in front of everybody. And somebody like Shlomo or Robert says he's wearing Zombach suit. Or Toto pulls the curtain back. It's just an ordinary guy back there. But in this movie in life all around this little, it's really a small little subcategory. I mean, the bigger issues are the Christians and and all the rest of them. But this is a little sub-brand in the whole thing. But that whole that whole body of information cannot help but have this last act and to pull the curtain back on the whole thing. And what's so cool about it, I love The Wizard of Oz, is what was the wizard, who's Professor Marvel, when he's back in Kansas. When the cover gets back, he changes into this really cool guy and says, you had it all along. Yeah, here's your heart and here's your brain. And from that point of having Toto pull that curtain back, there was real mutual love and empowerment that came from that. So don't beat up on Toto, for fucking with the wizard, because the wizard got real and found love himself in that. So they don't need to defend these wizards, these Francis Lucilles and Gangajis and Adyashantis and Ramana Maharshis and Nisargadatas and all of that. It's wholesome for the curtain to come back. It's empowering for the curtain to come back. It really completes that whole chapter in your life of all this seeking on the yellow brick road to find that thing. And it's just BS. You had it all along. The takeaway is the same. Ramana Maharshi said it, you had it all along. Same takeaway. Same takeaway. Except with the Wizard of Oz, they're not making a religion out of it. There's no worship or anything like that. You hear it at many different levels. Chakra, everything. More people seen that movie than any other movie ever produced. Today, it's the most watched movie in human history. And people are getting it at all different levels without it being preachy, without it pulling it. But the message is powerful. And Toto is powerful. And my friend here, this is the real deal in a Toto. And it is disruptive. But it's powerful. It's powerful. And in this chapter, as things are moving fast, and it's time for Toto. It's just time. These guys in their brands behind the curtain pulling the levers are ordinary human beings. Just ordinary, like you, me, everybody's ordinary. That's a vision of equality. They call it darshan. I'm going to receive darshan. There's no such thing as a darshan that's not mutual. You're giving Francis Lucille the same darshan you think you're getting.
Mm-hmm. Great point.
Except you're not getting anything. You're not getting a cash. You're not getting the benefits are kind of materially float one way, and that's to that brand. And then building that brand, and then you tell your friend, "Oh, I met Francis," and everything, and then that brand gets up and up and up, and that brand is branding. Trump is a brand. It's in your mind and not paying any rent. No different. No different. Muji, a brand. It's branded. Ramana Maharshi didn't have a name until Kavyakantha laid one on him. What's your name? I don't know that one. He never named himself that. Some yogi put it on him. Then exalted it. Turned all his devotees over and it got out of hand. Ordinary. Ramana Maharshi, an ordinary human being, just like you. Common sense. All that superstition and ideology. I talk about him. I just happened to been a lot revealed to me in that camp, but a lot of this new age stuff kind of goes back. He's kind of a central touchstone, whether it's Yogananda or Muktananda or Nityananda or Gangaji or Babaji, or they're all kind of tipping back to Ramana Maharshi. He never claimed to have a lineage, ever. Ever. These guys are ripping them off. All this lineage stuff is causation is systemic. Everything's happening together. There's no somebody pulling the strings to make it happen. So the real wisdom in the final act, in the searching and on the yellow brick road and everything, is from Toto. Not only for the seeker, but the teacher. So it's a win-win. If you look at the end of the Wizard of Oz, it's a win. It's a win-win for everybody. It's not putting anybody down. I told a story about Ramana Maharshi. I know some stuff that's a little heavier, and I shared some of it this morning at our home. It's shocking. Not to put him down, but to show that the tragedy of life and stuff that you can barely swallow is alive and well with those people too, that's now censored and taken out so that there's no Toto in the archives about the man, to make him a messiah for their meal ticket, their museum. They're great curators. Museum doing all of that, and got pictures of him, what he said as a teenager when he freaked out. He just had a panic attack. It wasn't no big deal. Panic attack, dropped out, ran away from home, stole his uncle's money. Doesn't sound too unusual. I knew a lot of people dropped out and ran away from home. And just said, fuck it. I mean, it's all right. I've dropped out one time. Not bad. So he just dropped out. Just like we would drop out. So, not a big deal. But it's just a brand. Dean Karoli, Ramana Maharshi, Yogananda, Gangaji, Mooji, Babaji, they're all brands, just like brands of shoes. They own a place in your mind, and then that place in your mind means something, because you kind of agree with it's just common sense. It's being shared. Everything you do on aha, the aha is the real thing, not what got you to say aha, but the aha itself is the real. If you say aha, you didn't get it. Just some words were able to express your deeper insights that were wordless there to begin with when you read it, and then you give the credit to the words on the paper or the person who said it. If you didn't fully understand the aha, then that aha I'm going to give to that person over there, and he's going to rent it back to me, and then I got to bring him some more customers. That's what Toto, that's what Robert's calling attention to. Wake up. Hey, curtain the back. It's just, it's a show. It's a stagecraft. I got incredible respect for Robert, for speaking up. He's really smart. He's a smart guy. I mean, he's really, really, really smart. I mean, he backs his shit up with good stuff. And he's got an innocence. He's got an innocence like that little Toto puppy, that critter love innocence there. You can hear it in his voice. You can feel that innocence. It's real. That's cool stuff. Doesn't want to indoctrinate anyone. He just said, not this, not this, not this, till you see for yourself, so that it's a realization, not an indoctrination. That's powerful. That's purely beautiful. Without any clawback. No clawback of credit or I transmitted or no clawback whatsoever. Not hitting you up for anything. That's cool. You don't find that in these brands. They're all lacking the Toto part. You get a J. Krishnamurti who comes along and Toto's the same, and then they make J. Krishnamurti another wizard. UG. Then they start exalting the disruptor, and the cycle starts going again. It's self-defeating to put the disruptor on a pedestal. Doesn't make any sense. So I say the names. Francis Lucille, yeah, I say it loud and clear. Mooji, yes. Ramana Maharshi, yes, you too. Neem Karoli Baba, yes, you too. All of it. They're rascals. Might be in trouble.
Well, we might take out the last few sentences there.
And then it gets off to ridiculous. And there's some Bentignos and some of these characters. I mean, it's off the charts. Make the Wizard of Oz look like a puppy. But when you're done with it all, it's relief, not grief. It's relief. It maybe hurt a little bit for one you've had on a pedestal to get back to being an ordinary person. If you've held Ramana Maharshi up here and he's your guiding light and all of this stuff, it might be a little disappointment, but in that giveaway, there's a dissolving of this some higher something into being yourself and seamless with yourself. And the aha is our own. All our ahas are our own. They weren't transmitted to us. Like a flower blooming.
So I feel a break is about in order.
All right.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Woof.
Toto.
Woof. Woof.
Toto.